what I thought. I'm just going to say sometime anybody who will pay.
Hey, Coach, whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what happened to the 50-degree forecast, but anyway, good to see you guys. Just good to wrap it up today. I think the guys have worked hard all 15 days. We've had pretty good practices for the most part, and it's never overly pretty in the spring. That's one thing that hasn't changed in 26 years, 25 years, I guess. But I think we've made some progress and seen a lot of guys grow. So, we're on the right foot right now, and just certainly got a lot of work to do, and that's typical of this time of year. But no, it's been good to be with the guys. They've worked hard, and we'll just keep pushing forward. I'll throw it out for questions.
Kirk, how would you characterize the development of the offense under Tim Lester this spring?
It's a process. It's totally new. Starting the verbiage, just the way we call plays, and so basically everybody started from scratch. And there's been incremental phases. You meet, talk about it as a staff. We started probably 2 months ago, 2+ months ago, and you can only meet for so long. At some point, you got to start doing it, implementing it, and that type of thing. So it's really been valuable from the coaching standpoint, for us to be involved and be coaching the offense and learning it that way. Then most importantly is what the players absorb and how what they take from it. But so every day has really been valuable. It's kind of a real contrast to the defense, where the system has been pretty consistent for 20+ years. Teaching's been pretty similar for 20+ years. You have tweaks to make, and you got a lot of veterans, and so we're kind of the contrast to that offensively. But it's been good. I think the players have enjoyed it, and we certainly have ways to go yet, but it's all been good.
David?
Kirk, appreciate the time. How do you kind of balance holding the offensive players accountable, but also being patient, understanding that they are learning a new system? I mean, how do you kind of toe that line of not getting too frustrated, but keeping perspective on everything?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a perfect balance there, but you just have to keep it in mind. And there are certain things that you expect to happen, maybe some more false starts, things like that with motions tend to bring that. But, some of the things are still the basics, the quarterback center exchanges and things like that. It's just after a while, we got to get those cleaned up. And today's another phase. Not that it was, the stadium was packed, but you got music playing, you got people there, and so it's a different set of distractions potentially for the players. But there is a process to it, and I think we have seen, the biggest thing is that, week to week, practice to practice, we've seen improvement, and that's what you're hoping for. And certainly, by the time we get close to playing next August, we're going to have to be, a lot sharper than we were today.
Dunker and Jones both out today, so you had some guys move up in the depth chart. How do you think the line did today, and is it consistent with how they've improved this spring?
Yeah, I'd say it's hard to, judge today until we see the tape, but I just, I look at spring practice. It's more about the whole 15 days, and I think the guys have really done a good job. I think they've picked up the system, but more importantly, they're more mature and more physical than we've been the last couple of years, and that's a good thing. A lot of familiar faces there. So we've got 2 guys out, but yet I think we're going to be a more veteran group than we've been the last several years. And with offensive line play, it's really important. Either side of the ball, just the maturity can really help. And I think we're on the right track. We're not there yet, but we're on the right track. And to get Logan and Jennings back, that'll help us as well. So, but this has been good for the other guys to get that work. It's important work. And, if we can end up having 8 or 9 guys we can put in the game, that'd be a real plus for us.
John?
From an injury standpoint, out of the people who are out today, any one that be kind of a long-term concern, or are these all people you expect back in June or July?
Yeah, the good news, I guess, is, we had certain guys that never were out there this spring, and those guys will be fine by June. And then the guys that were injured this spring, it's been mostly soft tissue. We had one little repair, like a ligament in a thumb, but he'll be going in June too. So as we stand here right now, we're in pretty good shape outside of the knee injuries. They're going to take a little longer. Yep.
Tyler?
Kirk, what strides have you seen Marco make this spring, and just kind of your impressions of what he's done?
It's a different story with all 3 quarterbacks, and not to mention Tommy, but so Marco really hasn't played a lot, and now new system on top of it and all those types of things. So his mind's going 100 miles an hour. Not that everybody's isn't, but maybe everybody else is 50. And I think that's typical for a guy who hasn't played a lot yet. So my experience is like the next couple months are really going to be big for him. He's had 15 days of being out there, getting a lot of reps, and plus it's a new system. So, I think what he can do to try to slow things down, I can just kind of, throttle back a little bit and think about things. And those guys will be throwing 7-on-7 in June, July. So hopefully make some steps and get more comfortable with things. And then when August comes, it's going to be really interesting to see where he's at and what kind of improvement he makes and what hopefully his comfort level is a little bit better. Right now, he's really trying hard.
Chad.
Why did Jacob Bostic leave and share that with you? And where do you feel like the receiver room is? Who maybe popped this spring for you?
Yeah, he just felt like it was in his best interest. So, we wish him the best. He's a tremendous young man. And, he just didn't feel like this was the best spot for him at this point. So, onward and upward for him. And the room and overall, we're young. We got some older guys, but we're still young in terms of, production experience. But, you start with, Weege and Caleb would be the two guys that have the most experience out there. And I think they both have a chance to be really good football players. Then the younger guys have done a good job, too. Jarrett Bowie's done a nice job, and he's really taken some steps forward. I think Howard's done some good things. So it's a good mix right now, and encouraged about the way the guys are working. And, they certainly have a lot of improvement to make, too. But I think the potential's there. They're working hard. Attitude's been good. And, I'm optimistic about those guys.
Scott.
Yeah, the last time we talked to you, we neglected to ask you about John Budmeyer getting the job.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like about him in his couple years as an analyst and special assistant, and how has he helped, I guess, the wide receiver room this spring, before this spring?
Yeah, I think a couple thoughts there. So John's been with us for a couple of years, as you mentioned, and it's anytime there's a leap of faith, anytime you hire anybody. But it's a little bit easier when you've been around somebody for a while and watched them work and get to know them a little bit as people and also their coaching expertise. I think John's experience lends to that. He was a quarterback, was a quarterback's coach, coordinator, worked with the receivers some at Colorado State, I think one season, and I think back to, Bill Snyder coached quarterbacks and receivers back here in the 80s when I was here. So it's a pretty natural mesh, if you will, and he and Tim have hit it off really well, too. So I think it's just worked out really well in the way we'd hoped. And John's a good teacher, a good person, really cares about the players he works with. And I think so far so good. Those guys have all, kind of meshed well together.
Elliot.
Kirk, for your presumed starter, Kade, 2 springs in a row hurt, and I think 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years for him now. I guess, what has the spring been like for him? Is he, from what we've heard, he's kind of chomping at the bit, ready to go, but won't be full go till June. I guess, how's he doing?
I think he's doing really well. He's throwing the ball well. He can't, drop back, roll out, all that stuff, but he's throwing the ball well, and I think he's been into it 100%. Maybe in some ways it's easier for him because he's not practicing, so he can just process things mentally. Don't have to worry about the physical aspect as much. But, he's an eager guy. Most quarterbacks I've been around that are good quarterbacks can't wait to learn something, and that certainly seems to be his mode of operation. So he's done a good job, and it'll be really important when he is able to go, which should be in June. Then he can start, implementing some of the stuff that he's been exposed to, and certainly August is going to be a really big month for him. But I think if there's a silver lining, my experience is at least guys that have played, it's a little bit easier for them when they get started again. It comes back quicker than a guy who hasn't played. So those are, every situation has its own challenges. But I think, we're optimistic he'll be ready to go and, should be able to catch up pretty quickly once we get going.
Corey in the back.
Kirk, the spring portal window being open the last week of your practice, how does that impact? I mean, I know you've got a recruiting staff, but I mean, I would have to think you'd prefer that window be open on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it opened up last week, so maybe that's a reason to start spring ball earlier. Just think about the weather then. Although the last area is really nice, but Yeah, and there will probably be a new round of entries, more participants here this week in the portal, because a lot of people are finishing up today, and some people even are practicing next week, as I understand it. So there's probably no perfect time, and we have done our due diligence. One nice thing about spring practice, it's not like we have game prep, so there are hours outside of practice in our meetings where we can kind of watch that stuff. And again, there's no ideal portal situation, I don't think. I guess maybe we're fortunate that we're not really, at least I don't anticipate us having to go out and get 10 guys or something like that. Some people, that's just kind of how they operate, so it's a little bit different.
Jack in the back.
Kirk, it seemed like the offense, the run game was just a little bit ahead of the passing game, but that's just me. What was your assessment, and are you happy with both where they are right now?
Well, yeah, first of all, it's probably a fair assessment, but, I'm standing here just thinking about one of the plays early in practice. We were down in the red zone, and we missed I think it was Weedhead, was open out there on the right side, and the throw was off by about 2 feet, something like that. And that to me was like kind of where we're at right now. In the fall, we got to make that play. The play's there, you got to make it, and that's true of any play, run or pass. If it's available, if it's set up right, and you got a chance to convert it, that's what you need to do. And that's really the nature of football, and that's the challenge of offensive football, especially is the execution. It's it's easier said than done sometimes, but if you're not doing it in practice and not doing it consistently, then it's hard to think you're going to do it in competition, live competition. So we've made progress, and I think guys they've gotten good exposure. Now we'll start to when we get back in August, we'll be a little bit more specific about things, and hopefully our execution will be a little bit better, and it should be.
Blake.
Coach, Jay was just talking about how having 8 returning starters on defense has helped just, less questions get to the coaching staff, be able to help the younger guys come around. Just what are some of the benefits of having so much talent and experience returning on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I can't say it 100%, but I'm guessing it's probably about as experienced as we've been. And then, the first thing you start worrying about is, guys getting a little complacent and, thinking maybe they've got it figured out. And one thing about sports life, you never have things figured out totally. So, but I'm not overly worried about that because the guys like, Jay and Nick in the middle there, you got Quinn and Sebastian in the back end, guys, great attitudes. And I think our veteran group is really good. The guys up front have done a good job. So, it's a real contrast on our team right now. We've got a new system offensively. We've got a system that's really been pretty similar for 25 years, and more veteran players on the defensive side. So we'll count on that to be a strength. But they still got to go out and do it. We haven't, stopped anybody from making a first down. We haven't made one. So that's still where we're at here in April. And but I overall I like our team. I like the attitude and the work ethic they've demonstrated thus far. And I can't imagine there's any reason why they'd start to relax a little bit here.
We'll finish up with Tom, Chad, Scott.
Kirk, do you anticipate adding in the portal? Do you anticipate being active in terms of additions to your roster?
Yeah, I mean, we'll do anything we can to help our team, so we'll be looking at that and just studying it. And if there's an opportunity that presents itself that makes sense, we'll consider just like, and we plan to do it every year. We did it last year and had more openings last year, so we had more need to be involved. It's not quite the same this year, but we'll still, if there's something that can make us a better football team, that's what we're all trying to do. So definitely keep an open mind.
One guy you do have to replace in defense is Cooper DeJean. How did you come out of spring evaluating those 3 guys? It seems like there's 3 guys that are kind of competing for that one spot.
Yeah, the good news is I think all 3 of those guys made strides, and I think we feel better about all 3 of them after 15 practices. Yeah, every guy you lose is important, whether it's Cooper, who's obviously it's going to be, you're not going to replace him. I don't think we have any first rounders coming up, not at this point. At least they won't be first rounders next fall. But a guy like Joe Evans, I spoke to an NFL team about him last night, and just what. I remember when he walked in, I'm thinking, what are we going to do with this guy? And then after he got on the field, I was like, we'll find something, because he's a football player. And so, Logan Lee was out there today. Just guys like that are really valuable too. Every guy that's been out there playing for us, it's a loss. But, yeah, I feel good about the corners right now, especially assuming Jamari's going to be back and should be at his best. So I think we've got a solid group there, and feel that way about most all the younger guys. I think they've improved this spring. But now the question is going to be, where can they be when we get going here at the end of August?
I have kind of a two-parter. One's short, one longer. Seth Anderson out for the spring, but okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. The other one
should be good in June too. He's one of those guys with the soft tissue stuff, so should be fine in June.
The other one,
a little bit. We did see look good.
Okay.
It's like a teaser. Yeah.
Otherwise, attrition kind of takes care of itself in a lot of cases where guys kind of see their place in the world or whatever. And I think you guys are right around 4 over at this point. What's kind of the next step? You meeting with players, I assume, in a couple of days, and then tell them kind of where they fit, and then do you expect any kind of natural attrition at this point?
Yeah, so I'll start with that. It's all going to work itself out, but to that point, I don't know if it's this way for everybody, but for the last 2 years, like any trends or there were always patterns, like X amount of guys would leave or this and that. It's been really off the charts the last 2 years. Like it's hard to predict anything. A couple of years ago we had a bunch of guys leave in December, and so you just never know. It's really because of the circumstances in college football right now with the portal and NIL and all that stuff, and any charts that you might have had for the last 20 years. Right now they're not holding true. But we'll figure it out here as we go, and I think it's going to work itself out, so I feel pretty good about that.
You got a really low number.
I'm sorry?
You got the lowest number in the Big Ten by far since last year.
Yeah.
What does that say, I guess, about culture here? And that, things.
Yeah, I think, and we were surprised to have somebody, 2 guys have left this year. They've chosen to leave. But again, that's that Mike Tomlin line about no hostages in the building. You just don't want guys on the team that aren't fully invested in and feeling good about things. But yeah, I think that's when all those guys chose to come back. I think that spoke volumes about, we're doing some things right here, and the guys, most importantly, the guys care about each other, and I think, I think they pull for each other. They want to be together, and realize that. I talk to our guys about this all the time. It's such a short window to play college football or high school football. It's a short window, and we all get tied, our minds on what's down the road a little bit, and we're in a hurry to get there sometimes. But it's just good to see guys figure out that it's pretty good to be part of a college football deal and, be with a bunch of good teammates and have fun playing together. So hopefully that's the majority of guys thinking that way and not, not the other way. So it's all good. But, yeah, I like our team that way, and I like the way they're working, and we'll see what the next couple of weeks have to bring. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
You all are welcome to work in the press box if you'd like. So,